about line symmetry and what it was, but you have to be careful to get those parent permission slips, especially before you put them on YouTube. This is the journal. I kept a journal during the whole project, and this is sort of just an annotated page from my journal. And I broke my data analysis down into the red was the attitude of students. Where did I see that the attitude of students was being demonstrated? Were they happy that day? Were they sad they didn't get to the presentation applications? Green was teacher involvement. Blue was time issues, and orange was just computer glitches or glitches trying to download information. These are the things I looked at. I did look at the test grades because I wanted to make sure that these students did not regress any. And what I did was let them do the 2 key point questions and go math. And if they got those, I sent them on to work while I worked with the rest of the class. This is what I learned. Student attitude, they loved it. It was almost excessive. They got on my nerves. Are we going to be able to do the project today? Or can we work on the project? Well, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Hang on. And so it was just unbelievably excited about it. They were especially excited to present their projects to the other class, which is why I want to look more about peer tutoring. And they enjoyed the projects being on the website so their parents could see. The applications, there are very few applications that are truly independent for 4th grade kids. Crazy and PowerPoint and YouTube, those are go-tos. You can get you can get some projects up there. I tried a voice thread with one group and it was a no-go. They just kept coming back. Independence is a real issue with this because I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to teach kids who need me to hold their hand, and I've got these high-end kids that are in my ear want me to do something for them. My involvement. Gifted learners still require my involvement. You can't just let them go. Independence is not truly independence. My expectations need to be controlled because I was expecting these 12-frame slideshows, wonderful YouTube videos with Academy Award winning performances, and that's just not going to happen. So I need to change the way I look, and anything that they can get on an application is a step in the right direction. I need to be patient and realistic with them. They're 9 and 10 years old, and I'm not going to get something that I would get from an adult or even an older student. My words directly affect how they felt about that presentation. If I went over there and said, all right, then they were less enthusiastic than if I went over there and said, that's really good, why don't you try something else? So I have to watch my expectations and my words to them. We have time issues. We have drills and snow and the Friday schedule that we operate on is short. So having time to do something like this is just something that you absolutely have to carve out of your schedule, which is, we all know that that's difficult. I read this article from Gifted Child Today magazine. Kim, you're probably familiar with that magazine. It says that technology should meet 3 criteria in order to meet high-performing students. It needs to be relatively independent, interesting, and challenging. And I think that this project met all 3 of those. I think the kids were relatively independent. They still needed me a little bit. They were very interested in it. And as you can see from the final product, it was challenging for them. It wasn't just a little gimme project. So that's what I have. Do y'all have any questions? You can think of something I haven't touched on?
Did you get good feedback afterwards from the parents?
I got some good feedback. There were a lot of people. Here's the feedback that I got. Hunter's mother gave a lot. Some people gave hardly anything. There's Emery's mother didn't give anything, and she usually is very. But the way that I read this is they were so excited. This one loved participating, thrives on challenges. So the parents overall were very supportive of what we did. And like I said, I gauged how the parents felt it was important to them, then they would communicate with me pretty quickly.
Have the kids ask about the next one?
Yes, they're still working on one. They
That's
weren't.
not defined.
Yeah, they're still working on one. They didn't want to give it up quite yet.
One of these?
Yes.
They are those are your,
Yes.
perfectionists.
Yes.
That have to get it perfect.
Mhm.
It's gonna be hard to get that perfect.
Yes, it is. And that, you know, they kept having interruptions. So
Yeah.
they were torn up about that.
So as you think about this, and you think about next year, is there any different kind of, foundation you would lay in the beginning of the year, knowing in the back of your mind that you're gonna try to move in this direction as the year goes on?
Absolutely. I would start, you know, and Kim and I have talked about this. I would start early on giving them these basic Prezi, PowerPoint, how to download a YouTube video. I'll give them that very early. And then hopefully move on to something else. My vision of the whole thing was to have them go over there and pull up all these wonderful presentation apps, and I saw pretty quickly that wasn't going to work. So working with Kim, I could give them PowerPoint, Prezi, and YouTube very early on, and that way we could move on to different things when I had to step in and be involved with their projects.
I imagine that if you were, trying to convince your peers to do this, one question would be, how much did this slow down your overall math instruction of your entire class in that geometry unit?
That's what I
Well,
was saying, you mentioned that it was hard to, because it is, when
It
you're
is.
trying, when kids who need, you know, like I said, need you for sure, how do you balance between the two? Like,
Right,
how-
and I learned early on not to plan to do anything on Fridays with it, because we're on a short schedule on Fridays. And other than that, other than just having a short class period of time, and some of the snow interrupted, you know, the flow of things, and when I got back, they were kind of foggy and had to get back into it. What I did was present the whole group lesson, get the 2 checkpoint questions from them, and then I just patted them on the shoulder and said, go. And that way, I could spend the time with the kids who really needed me.
So it didn't really slow down instruction.
It didn't really slow down instruction. They already had the answer. They already had it. So I didn't have to spend a whole lot of time with them.
Pre-testing. I mean, it was
Yeah.
informal.
Yes,
but you did
yes,
pre-testing.
And so
absolutely.
as you're, the same way you would do with anybody else then, as they were working, you're working with these others, if they had a question or they had a, I mean, you just work it in just like you would.
Yes.
Because you're.
And I tried very hard to explain to them that the reason that you're on this is because I feel like you can work by yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't need, you know, a whole bunch of questions. I don't mind answering 1 or 2 when I'm done with this group. But I want to see what you can do by yourselves. So I really preached on that.
And I have found that you have to get them to ask each other. I'll say find a friend, but they probably don't even understand that. They
Yes.
don't come to, you know, there's people in this room, resources, there's resources, go find a resource.
And I really think we're missing a big chunk of learning by not peer tutoring what we do.
Well, and then my other question is, would it be beneficial to us as a grade level to maybe at the beginning of the school year spend some time to, you know, go over PowerPoint, Prezi and things? Because I know even over there, you know, with book projects and things like that, that's something that they use to do book projects or whatever. So if even, you know, as a group, because I'm thinking, you know, for
I
science
mean,
and
if
social
science
studies,
and
that'd be
social studies
great.
is a natural.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
natural.
we
So,
just run that
yeah,
out.
I mean, we could do technology one day in the computer lab and.
You might want to think about the iMovie, now that we have iPads, iMovie,
Yes.
iPhoto, there's tons of
Yes.
apps where you can, I got an app downloaded with this video and photos that they can dump and do all kinds of filters and stuff to make a presentation on both. And also Instagram, a lot of these kids have Instagram, and I know something that the junior high math teachers are doing is they will give them extra points if they Instagram something, like when they were doing geometry, they had angles and stuff. If you took a picture of something out in the world and they posted it, the teacher would give them extra points for that. And so they just had to hashtag what it was and talk about different math. They did something else last week with that, but I don't remember what it was. I saw it on there.
Okay, so I'm curious too about something that was not part of what you really did, so you might not have any data,
Okay.
because you would not have specifically been mindful of it. One one thing that, that we sometimes hear is that, well, the higher kid is either bored or the higher kid is misbehaving because he is bored. Among that group, without asking you to name any names, do you have any students who you sometimes feel like you're spending moments calling down where maybe you didn't have to hear? Is there any of that?
That's an
you noticed?
interesting question. There's a little boy in Kelly's room that was one of these on this project team, and he is a child that you have to pay a lot of attention to. And while they were working on these independent learning projects, I didn't have to talk to him one time. Part of that was because of the group that he was in. I had two bossy little girls that were not going to let him get away with anything. And so the behavior issue was one that I was concerned about in the beginning, but I didn't need to be.
So if you had a naysayer who thought, well, I can't let that kid go off and work on his own because all he'll do is stir up trouble, maybe not.
Think about the grouping is what I would say to that
Give him a
person.
good enough project,
Yes.
take care of your program and buy your other minutes for your
Personalities
struggle.
are
Yes.
a powerful thing.
I would
together.
definitely think about grouping if I had, and there was another little boy that wouldn't bring his permission slip back that I really wanted to participate in the project because I think it would have been great for him. But, it is what it is. So, thank you guys for listening.
Good job.